Happy Galentine's Day, everybody. How's it going? I am so excited about today and the fact that you have all these incredibly creative, loving, caring women that are going to be doing all these projects for you to be able to see all the projects that you can make. One for yourself, don't leave yourself out, but also for your Galentine. I love the fact that we've created, I don't know who created it, but the Galentines to be able to give our friends gifts and just say what an important part of our life they play. You know, without female friends, I don't know that our emotional tanks would be as full as they need to be. So I am just thrilled that we are doing this today. So welcome. You have got a big treat in store because a lot of them are going to be showing you things and you're going, oh my gosh, I never thought I could do that. Look at this. I'm going to be showing you how to create, can you see, the most adorable original art with our brand new inks. This is such an easy process. And look at this frame. Is this not the best? I love finding really inexpensive frames that I can put art in that I have created, and you can hang it in your home and look really expensive. Look at this, it's fab. I want to show you some different color combinations. So look at the beauty of that. I think it looks like porphyry or a very organic, kind of natural looking stone. Here's another one I did. This is the one I'm getting ready to show you. I did it in coffee, the gold ink and the white ink. Now look at this one. Oh, do you love it? This one I did with black, white, and a little bit of our metallic gold. So look at that, how that shows up. I just love it. Oh my gosh. This is really beautiful too. If you wanted to be able to make some handwritten note cards to write your notes on, this is a beautiful front. So that way they can take it off and then frame it. Or you can go get a very inexpensive frame and it looks like you've gotten an expensive gift. Look at this one. This one's done more in kind of taupes and creams. I added just a little bit of metallic. Can you see that on that one as well? Oh my gosh, I had the best time. I have to show you this. So this one, especially, it's a little bit more, if you have a place at the beach or maybe you have a friend that lives near there or you just got some color in your room, you want to be able to have a great looking piece of art. Look at this one. So I did it in a green here, and then I came and did it in light blue ink at the top. So it looks kind of like a landscape with a sky meeting down to the greenery. Look at this. This is an IKEA frame that I found, and look at the combination of the colors. Now, even something like this would be adorable in a nursery. I have two pieces of heart like this in my half bath, and people make comments about it all the time. But do you love that? So pretty. That's why as I'm showing you on the Yupo paper that I'm working on, don't think about it like this. Think about it going in a darling frame like this. Now, one more I want to be able to show you. Y'all know I love IKEA. Jean hates IKEA. But you can go, and even at the at-home store, and get frames like this. Just a simple black frame, but all this matte came with it. And actually, I got this one at the at-home store, but IKEA has them just like it. But look at this. Look how putting the artwork in the center of that, look at that. Doesn't that look fab? So you're going to be able to create all this original art. I'm just going to tell you, this could totally be also a new business. A lot of you like selling things on Etsy and your websites, and you've got clients that you're doing things for, and it would be absolutely beautiful, inexpensive, but so much fun. All right, are you ready? All right, let's do this. I want to be able to show you how I use the coffee, the gold ink, and the white ink to be able to create an original piece of art. Let's do this. All right. So I loved the fact that you've got those great examples to be able to follow and just being able to see all the color variations. So now let me show you what I did. So now you're going to start with some Yupo paper, YUPO, and I like working with a medium weight. The Yupo paper is great to be able to work with inks. And I love the color of it. It is more of a white. When you put it against our beige paper, it does look very, very white, but it's perfect to be able to create these small little pieces of art on. And I think they're even great if you want to be able to attach them to your cards. If you want to make a beautiful Galentine card, this could be a little piece of art that you could literally use some double stick tape and put on our Maker Studio cards. All right, so the other thing that you're going to need is you're going to want to be able to work with the esophageal alcohol, then 91%. You don't want to use the 50% or 51. You want to make sure that you have the 91%. So I just poured a little bit into my cup. Y'all know I love these little cups that I get from Target. And I'm also going to work with a sponge brush. Now, I have saturated my sponge brush with my alcohol, and now I'm just going to do, in 2 passes, I'm going to apply this onto my paper. You want to make sure that you don't oversaturate it, but you do want to make sure you just go boom, boom, like usually in 2 passes, and I'm done. So then, let me move that out of the way. I want you to be able to focus on this. So now, in these gorgeous colors that we've got in our inks, there's 24 of them. There's a brown and there's a coffee. Now the coffee is a little bit darker brown, which I loved. It's what I worked with yesterday. And I'm gonna unscrew the top, and that you're gonna notice, you're gonna need to cut the tip fairly close in order to be able to put it down into your cup. So now, I already got just a little bit on my paper. So this is a much darker brown. The brown that we have is a lighter brown, and this has a little bit of black in it, so it does kind of look like coffee. So I'm gonna dip my brush down into my ink. Everybody has their own way of doing this. So I just wanted to be able to show you kind of what I did. And I'm gonna lay this down. Now, again, remember this has been flooded with the alcohol. Now I'm going to come back. I want to lay enough of the color in kind of here and there. I'll spread it around. And you want to work fairly quickly because you don't want your surface to start drying. Have all your supplies ready before you get to this point. So now I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to dip it into my alcohol. And you can hold it against anything pretty much. You can take another brush or hold this in place, and now I'm hitting it against my container and allowing it to flick the alcohol onto my paper. So what'll happen, can you start to see this start to reticulate? Now the sad thing is I can't lift this up. Let me pull my camera down just a little bit tighter so that way you can kind of see it. Part of what I love about this process of working with the inks is the fact that it looks very organic. It allows me to be able to, I think it looks a lot like a much more organic stone, like a porphyry or agates. Now I've got a gold here that I'm gonna shake up just a little bit. Look at that gorgeous gold ink, isn't that yummy? And I'm just gonna flick it in a couple of places. Hey guys, as you pop on here and you're watching our Galentine event, say hey, tell me where you're tuning in from. This is Amy, your mother maker, and I am showing you a brand new product that we have here at a maker studio, and there are gorgeous inks. Now, I want to be really careful because a little bit goes a long, long way. When I am putting on metallic ink, I want to fold it into my chocolate just a little bit, and this goes a long way. So now let's come back, and I'm going to dip my brush into my alcohol, and I'm going to start, watch, can you see that? Is that not the most fun? Look at that. Now, you're going to notice, look at this. I'll take the brush down here and I'll start to flood it in, and I'll start filling in my negative space. I'm going to get this area here. Look at this. And I'm coming on the outside of it, and it will start flowing and flooding into the other areas because I really don't want any negative space. I'm going to touch the center of that. The other thing is that I want to be able to have different variations of brown. I want to have some of the darker brown. I want to be able to have some lighter. I create shapes. Now watch this. I'm going to set this in the center of that. The other thing is too, I will blow on this You can use a straw. Probably some of you have seen that sometimes when you're working with straws. And I'll blow on it. I'm going to do that right now because I want to blend this just a little bit. See how that flows out? And getting it just a little bit thinner. Y'all are tuning in going, what is she doing? I'm actually blowing on my paint. That will allow, now look how that's starting to create these lines. That's very desirable. So now I'm going to come in here again. I'm going to load up my alcohol. And as it starts to thin, it's kind of this process of areas will start to dry down. Oh my gosh, is that the most fun? Areas will start to dry down, and then you have to continue to kind of play with it as you're making it wet and blending. Now I'm going to take this, I'm just dipping my brush in alcohol right now. Now watch this. I'm going to set this here as it's starting to dry, and that's going to give me this reticulated circles. Look at that. Can you see that? Watch this. Look at that. So it's like as it starts to kind of come back and dry a little bit in these areas, and the way you may go, well, Amy, how do I know if it's drying down? Well, it will literally start to go from looking wet and glossy to being where it looks like it's dry and matte. When the whole thing is dried down, it's going to look completely matte. So now I'm going to come back. I see some areas starting to dry out. I dipped my brush into my alcohol and I'm flicking it on here again. Now I'm going to come back. I'm working with 3 colors today. I'm working with my gold metallic, my coffee brown, and if you get the kit with the Maker Studio that we're just introducing today, you'll get all of them. So that way you can create all these different variances. Now I'm going to take my white, and again, remember when you take the top off, you're going to have to clip this right here so that way you can work with it. I want to make sure that I clip it enough. Now, I am going to just do a few drops of this white directly onto my art because I am putting it on top of my brown. Can you see that? That's what will start to come in and add a little bit of depth. When I first start out, I like working directly onto, I like to put it in my cup and then apply it. But now when I come back and I'll start to add a little bit more, sometimes I'll just flick it. Now I'm very careful with my metallic because I don't want to overdo it. Uh-oh, well that was a faux pas. All right, so I'm not gonna worry because let's say maybe that happens to you at home. This is definitely fixable. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this right here and I'm gonna bring it down into this bottom left-hand corner. I wanna distribute my gold just a little bit. You cannot mess this up. It's all a process of blending, allowing it to dry, adding more ink, blending a color. Now, you ready? I'm gonna take another brush. I'm gonna dip this into my alcohol. I'm kind of going back and forth, working with my chocolates, cleaning my brush out. Now I'm gonna hit this on here, watch this. Now, a lot of times I've noticed that when I'm working with it and if it's too wet, I will not get as pretty of a reticulation. So I have to let it dry down just a little bit and then I'll come back and add some color. So now I'm gonna come back in here and I'm gonna add just a few drops of my chocolate. This is my coffee color. I've got some white that I've blended in. I just want to make sure that I don't have any negative space. I'm loving the way that looks right there. That is so beautiful. I'm going to add just a little bit more chocolate. And I'm going to put it on thin. There again, don't try to start reticulating this when it's really, really wet, because what's going to happen, it's going to start to flow into one another too heavily. And I like for it to just kind of blend a little bit. I'm gonna add my color. See, now my gold is kind of making sense. I'm actually gonna take another brush and I'm gonna get it kind of wet and pick some of this up and add it down here, just strictly from a composition standpoint. I promise, if you've never done any type of painting before and you do this, you feel like you're an artist because it's so organic and so natural looking. And then when you cut just a little bit of it and you put it into a frame, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really good. All right, so now let's blow on this just a little bit more. See what that's doing? It's drying it down, it's moving it around. One thing that I love is I love starting to get these little darker lines and almost veins. So now I'm gonna clean this out again. And I'll focus on certain areas. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I just love it. Look at these tiny, tiny little, I am telling you guys, this looks so much like porphyry. But part of why I'm liking when it gets really small and very delicate like this is when that ink is starting to almost get to the point of drying. And it will allow me to get a much tighter network. Now I'm gonna go into this gold up here. The gold is not gonna be as reticulated as my coffee and my white. And then as I start to blow on this and open this up, I want those veins to kind of come up again. Come back here. A lot of times I will take a straw, but it's hard to do that and blow on it while I've got it here where I'm trying to show you what to do. I'm gonna take some clean alcohol. Again, if you're tuning in and watching this, you need to be working with the 91% alcohol, not the 50%. Now I'll come back in and I'll touch it. Watch this. I'm not flicking it, I'll touch it. Can you see that? I want to pull this down just a little bit closer so you can see. Watch this. Did you see that, what happened? Now look, it's not completely dry. Look at that. Look at that. So it continues to kind of grow, and I'll work with it as I'm wanting to blend these colors. And then as I start to see it to dry down, if I want to, now can you see this area right in here? I can come back and add just a little bit more alcohol just on that edge, because what I love to do is to create, let me show you one that I'd worked on earlier. So how I'll come back in and add just a little bit of alcohol on the edges, and that allows me to be able to get these lines. And see how the larger areas, see on this, now this one has dried down. See how these larger areas that at first you may think, oh, okay, I've messed that up. You haven't. Because what happens, it starts to have a very organic looking aspect to it. And then it feeds into compositionally what you've got. See this larger one down here that I created that balances this one here, and these tighter areas that are just a little bit darker. As it starts to dry down, and you'll be able to see it from the side, see how you can see the metallic? See how this is open? See how that's very fluid? And it starts to balance everything to where it looks absolutely gorgeous. Now, as this starts to dry down, it's going to totally change. And it's going to look, you ready? If you're just now tuning in, it'll look like this. So, it's so fun. The only colors I used on this were my white ink, my coffee, and the gold. I used the Yupo paper in medium, YUPO, and I got this frame for I think about $13, which I want to pull this back and allow you to be able to see it. Look at that. See the combination of the wood, the metal, and then look at that. Is that not a fabulous piece of art, guys? You're gonna be able to enjoy the bragging rights from it and just play with all the different variations of the inks, because this one, all I did was black and a little bit of white and gold, and it looked totally different, see? I just love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it really allows you a way to be able to maybe even create a backdrop to do your stencil art, or just do it like this, put it in a frame, and you've got a gorgeous piece of original art. Have a great Galentine's Day, everybody, and I'll see you soon.